Entering the Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings. We are officially in week 0 of the NFL season as it pertains to content. We still have some futures. We still have the AFC win total show coming out. You missed the NFC. That was last week. We have the win totals draft. But today, the best bets for futures could be player props, division odds, win totals. Doesn't matter what it is, the gold, the silver, the bronze. Reminder to all of you out there to play in the DraftKings Listeners League, the PME Open, that is now available down in the description. If you are looking for places to, I don't know, store your money for, let's say, a survivor pool that someone is running. And you don't want to run that shit through PayPal because PayPal might take your money on that stuff. Breaching the terms of services. What you can do is use LeagueSafe.com. You want to store your fantasy football pot in there because you don't trust the commissioner? LeagueSafe.com. You got the survivor pool? LeagueSafe.com. Go up to that little radio icon at the top. Use code Mayo. Get an extra $10. Doesn't cost anything to use, but you get an extra $10 to the commissioner who sets it all up for you. So code Mayo at LeagueSafe.com. Go do that right now. Cam Stewart is on the line, as is Rob Pizzola, who was on the show last week. Highly recommend you check out the intro to betting that we did and breaking down basically the things that you need to avoid while wagering on the NFL. I really enjoyed that show. But at the end, we talked about Rob on a panel in Vegas with Darren Rovell. And lo and behold, Rob, the night that I released that show, you got into it with him again.
Well, I got into it, but he started it, if we're going to call it out for what it is. I was just sitting at home. All of a sudden, this guy wins a few parlays. He tags me in a tweet about, not all parlays are bad or whatever. He's completely missed the point of what I've been talking about for the last several weeks. But yeah, for once in my life, I'm typically the instigator, right? Cam knows this from doing shows with me. I like to get in there. No, it was Ravel that was instigating me this time around, but he owned himself. No one self-owns themselves like Darren Ravel does. I don't know what he was trying to prove, but at the end of the day, I had some fun with it. I kind of like when other people come after me. I think that tells you a lot about who I am as a person.
Do you have any blood feuds with people on the internet, Cam, or do you just wash your hands of that?
I've had a few in the past, but they usually were really serious ones, Pat, like ones that were over lost jobs and lost income. So they weren't feuds. They were serious, let's come down, meet me at the Black Path type of days at high school and let's settle this type of situation. But as I'm getting older, Rob knows too, I don't like controversy. I don't like fighting. I like getting along with people. It's more my thing. You know what I mean? Let's have a couple drinks and forget about it. The only time I really get mad is if I'm kind of like, Rob and his animals. Like if you come after the family, that's the whole thing. Like Mama Bear, that's the thing. You attack the cubs, then I got problems.
Well, don't get on the bad side of Rob or Cam, or especially Jeff, as we covered in that show, Rob. Oh
yeah, Jeff's got a side to him, and Rob will tell you, right, Rob? Thing about Jeff is he's a kind, cuddly little guy, but when he goes off, he goes bananas. I've seen that guy absolutely lose his shit, and it's wild.
Yeah, and he can't even tell you why he's upset. He becomes so irrational with stuff. If you piss Jeff off one time, it does that's it for life, and he can't even remember why he's upset with people. But I just always try to stay on the good side of Jeff. He hits a bad shot in golf or whatever. It's all right, Jeff, don't worry, man. Pick yourself up. I don't want to be the guy at the end of the round where he's I'm never inviting Rob out again to play golf, because that might stem into other aspects of life as well. That Feinberg, I don't know, man. He's he's the nicest, most down-to-earth guy, but all of a sudden he's got that evil switch in him. Wouldn't surprise me to see him on Forensic Files one day, Cam.
The new Forensic Files too, it's just they haven't really improved themselves, Rob. It's a show that they just need to get a little bit better. But anyway,
production value.
What's the new one? What's the new one? Buried in My Backyard or whatever. I'm like, come on, guys. We need some new concepts here on these murder shows. But you're right. It's fun, Pat, and I just can't wait for this year, buddy. I've already did the College Football Zero show, Rob, when you were in Vegas, and we're already jacked up about it. It was a great way to start off the year. We had the under in the Notre Dame game, and now NFL's right around the corner, buddy. I can't wait. This is favorite time of the season. Then all the sports will just blend into one, man. It's a gambler's paradise.
Well, let's get to the gold selections for the NFL season. Trying to get some money down if you want to on some of this future stuff, or maybe you don't want to. Maybe you just want to go to week one and just let it ride every single week and try to build everything up and not sit on that money and giving it to DraftKings Sportsbook for 4 months. But, it was nice last year when the Bears ended up with the worst record, and we ended up cashing a big one. That was really nice, given out on this show. So let's see if we can hit another one like that. Gold picks, I'm starting off. I'm going to the NFC South, a division that's not very good. I don't think that anyone can really. I have 2 of my best bets are from this division. So either I'm going to get this extremely right or extremely wrong. Cam, I am taking the Carolina Panthers under 7.5 wins. I think their offense is absolutely abysmal. And when you take a look at their schedule, they have a stretch in the middle of the season where they play the Texans, the Colts, and the Bears. If they don't go 3-0 through that stretch, I don't see how they get to 8 wins or more.
I'm with you, actually. And Carolina's a team I like. I think Rob will tell you their defense, Pat, is pretty good. Like, I like JC Horn. I think he's one of the better players in the league, but there's so many flaws in that team. Quarterback's too small. Offensive line, I think there's going to be a lot of issues there. The one thing is, Pat, you're right, though. The Buccaneers are going to be brutal. There's a couple really bad teams in that division. That's the whole thing. That's the only issue that I have with that division, but I expect Carolina probably to win around 6 games this year. They're not going to be Arizona bad, but they're going to be bad.
And it's no good for them, Rob, because Carolina doesn't own its first pick. We've seen these situations crop up where, oh no, we have to try really hard, because it doesn't matter what pick we get. And then you just turn out and like the Broncos last year, and you give Seattle your pick.
Yeah, exactly. I like this one, Pat. I mean, I think Carolina is like a 6 to 7 win team on average. Obviously, they can outperform that or underperform that, but you have rookie quarterback with new head coach combination. I think typically takes a little bit of time for teams to get their footing when they're in that type of situation. Also concerned about the size at quarterback for them. Like, there's a lot of comparisons to Drew Brees, but Drew Brees was horrible at the beginning of his career. Like, the first 3 seasons, he went 10-18. He threw a lot of interceptions. Took a lot of time for Drew Brees to develop in this league. And I think that's going to be the same case with Carolina this season. So I like this, Pat. I know, to Cam's point, the division's not great. Maybe they can stockpile or rack up some wins within there, but ultimately, I like the under. It was one of the win totals I played this year as well.
Excellent. So we're all on the same page. So guarantee that to be a loser, but 7.5
Yep.
as the under is where I like it. Rob, your gold pick.
Yeah. Before I get into my gold pick, I just want to, Cam, there's no nationality props for the NFL this year, just in case you were looking. But I don't see anything on the board as I've gone through DraftKings here. I'm going to keep it.
Oh, no, but the thing is, Victor Hovland, I've been with Victor Hovland in that comeback win. So I could tell you, I might go to Norway. I'm very happy with that country right now. But anyway,
is there a Norwegian NFLer? I don't think so.
There had to have been. There may have been a kicker at some point. Wasn't one of the
Yeah, there had to be a Norwegian
or is
kicker.
he Danish?
Morten Anderson.
Yeah,
Wasn't
Scandinavian.
He, Morten Anderson.
Morten Anderson was
German?
Danish, I think.
Danish. Yeah, he might have been a Danish. Yeah.
Either way, I'm looking for the Pat Mayo and wife vacation for 2024. I mean, Scandinavia sounds kind of nice. I went to Denmark, but I didn't go to Norway, Sweden, and Finland. I enjoy a sauna as much as the next person. I'll go to Finland.
I'm going to be honest with you with saunas, Pat. Like, next to eating, like Rob will tell you, like next to chicken wing binges, like they are my favorite things in the world. Like, I will not go to certain places. Like, when I hear, oh, there's no sauna there, I'm like, no, we're out. Pool, wet, cold sauna. Like, the way it is for you, honest to God, and the way, especially if you're a drinker, that stuff will come out of your pores so nice, and you will feel fresh. Rob, that's how I turned my life around at the blackjack table. A nice sauna, hit the pool, got my mind back in check. Boom, 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 boom. Started going on a heater. Anyway, Pat, I do advise Scandinavian countries. Finland, one of my best friends, he's there. You got to check it out. Great. Hey, go to Denmark, go to the Carlsberg factory in Copenhagen. Everybody's going to the States. Come on. Go to Scandinavia. It's amazing over there. Nice people, too.
Totally agree.
I very much enjoyed it because I went to Iceland first, and everyone, like, before the trip started, no one told me about Iceland. But they were like, Copenhagen, most expensive place you can go. Here's the trick. Go to Iceland first, and then no matter what anything costs, anywhere, it's going to be cheaper.
That's cool.
I didn't
style.
enjoy my $40 beers in Iceland. I'll tell you that. I'm not exaggerating, by the way. It was
Well,
so.
you guys remember when I lived in Yellowknife, right? I told you, I think a Sunny D was like $40 like this year. And God bless the people of Yellowknife. I hope the city and the fires, nothing's happening. Crazy stuff that's happening in the world. But Pat, like a pack of smokes there would probably cost about like $40. I don't know what the hell you do up there. You'd have to get cartons flown in.
Yeah, probably be worth it. I guess that's where the cheap cigs end up coming in. But Rob, you got a silver?
I got a gold first, Pat.
Okay,
I got a gold.
Let's hear the gold. Let's hear the gold. I just got back from a 3-day golf vacation. I'm
with you, buddy.
right
I
now.
just came back from my draft last night with Visine Vincent. The gang, he's our commissioner. And now I'm thinking about buying that safe that you were talking about at the start of the show. Oh, tell you about the 49ers, you idiots. Like, it was just, oh, dude, our commissioner was wasted last night.
So
usually
just for the record, that's not a real safe.
Yes, it's not a real safe.
I understand that. No, it's a computer safe. I got it, but I'm just saying, I didn't think Vince was going to get home with the monies last night from the draft, so maybe it's an option in the future.
Well, it makes it super easy too, because you might not trust your commissioner. Like, we had a league run one time, and we gave all the money to one guy. Turns out there was no money at the end of the year. Well,
he left town.
with LeagueSafe.com, it doesn't work that way. It's stored there, and then it's just they send you the money directly once you designate who it gets sent to at the end of the year, and you can pay with credit card if you want. You want to do your league buy-in and credit card, build up them points? Not a problem.
Damn, your condo board should get league safe so that Barb's not spending money on the cars anymore.
Rob, we're way past that, but we'll save that for an episode of the show. She gone. We're on like 3 people after her. But anyway, we're here to bet football.
All right, we're here to bet football. I'll stick in the NFC South as well and follow Pat's tune. So my goal is player receiving yardage prop. I like Drake London over 825 and a half receiving yards for the year, minus 105. So 825 and a half for a number one receiver. 32 receivers in the league went over that number last year. I think a lot of people are a little bit scared of Drake London for some reason because they added Bijan Robinson. They're like, oh, Bijan Robinson, another weapon. A lot of targets are going to go there. They're going to run the ball more. This tends to actually help the receiver a lot more when you have a potent threat in the backfield. I really like all the weapons all around for Atlanta. I'm a little bit concerned about Desmond Ridder, but they have Taylor Heineke as a backup there as well. So if Ridder, shits the bed in the first month of the season or so, they can always make a move at quarterback to an established guy that is known for throwing the ball as well. I think this is a low number, honestly. It's the one that stood out to me. You obviously have to be concerned about injuries whenever you're betting player props over, but 825 and a half receiving yards. You divide that by the 17 games, you're basically looking for just over 48 receiving yards a game. And when you put it into that context, it's very doable for Drake London. I like him a lot this year. I like this over a lot.
I worry just with this offense that when you bring in Bijan, it's not that the direct threat of Bijan takes away from Drake London. It's that this just doesn't feel to me like a very pass-heavy team. You saw how much they wanted to run the ball last year. And was that a product of having Marcus Mariota and he couldn't throw the ball? They were averaging with Mariota 20 pass attempts or somewhere right around there per game. Like, you can have a 40% target share. That's great and everything. But if your team never passes the ball, it's going to be a problem. So I do worry about Ridder a little bit, Cam, because I don't think he's all that great. And it does feel like they might stick with him over Heineke. I'm pretty out on Atlanta this year. I think they kind of suck.
I don't know what to think about Atlanta. All I know is I did my draft half PPR last night, and I had the 6th pick, and I picked Robinson. And those guys looked at me like they had eyes coming out of the head. I'm actually think he's going to be a steal this year. I think he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year. And that's the thing, Pat, you bring up a good point. Desmond Ridder, in my opinion, he's a bottom end quarterback, probably a very good backup. I don't think he's great enough to be a starter. Atlanta made a few moves on the defensive side of the ball, but it's all going to be at Robinson. But Rob's right. I think the one guy, Drake London, he runs good routes. He catches the ball. Remember, they didn't get the ball to Kyle Pitts last year. I think London is going to have to be the focal point of their offense. And one other thing we can hang our hat on, as we said, that division's pretty weak, so he'll rack up some yards. Rob, if he only has to get over 50 yards basically a week, I think it's a winning bet.
Well, if you think back to last year when they ran the ball so much, especially first half of the year with Mariota, London still had 866 yards last year, receiving yards. And that was an extremely run-heavy offense, like Pat said. So we have a total of 825 and a half. It's 40 yards lower than he stockpiled a year ago. And we're into his second year now. Guy's still only 22 years old, but I think he's going to be a big focal part of the offense this year. And I just don't see them running. I mean, a lot of a lot of last year was Mariota just couldn't do it downfield, and they had to limit the amount of pass attempts that he had. I don't think that they're going to be an extreme pass-heavy team with Ritter, but I don't think we're going to see the same splits that we saw a year ago either.
So everyone knows that I love to use runthesims.com. I think everyone should use runthesims.com because it simulates the entire season or on a week-to-week basis 10,000 times. Now, I actually made a bet on, even though I'm not including it in one of mine, I thought I would bring it up, like the Run the Sims gold pick player prop of the preseason going in after running all these simulations is actually from that same division. I'm trying to look up Drake London, though, because I think it's right around that number. Yeah, Run the Sims has Drake London for 870 yards this year. And we have him projected with one of the highest target shares in the league. Like, that was the thing. Like, he got to that number last year because his target share was outrageous on Atlanta. Like, it was around 40% a lot of the weeks, finished right around 30%. Like, that's Devontae Adams level target share when you're looking at it. Now with Pitts back healthy, you got some Mac Hollins in your life. You got some Kadero Hodge still kicking around, plus the willingness to run the ball as much as possible. It's like people think that Tyler Algier is going to do nothing. He is going to do something. Like, Robinson's going to do a ton, but Algier's going to get his 5 to 12 rushes a game as well. They'll run some weird shit for Cordero Patterson once he's back too, just to throw people off. I can just see it being a bizarre offense with not a whole lot of attempts through the air. The Run the Sims gold pick from all of this. RunTheSims.com/Mayo, by the way. Get yourself 10% off. We have a new tool over there as well. Besides the simulation, if you play daily fantasy, we also have tournament simulations. You talk to Justin Freeman 18 on Twitter, so we can explain that one to you. It's about people who want to simulate the DFS tournaments that they're going in, especially in Showdown, to make sure that their lineups are not duplicated. But the big winner in this division is Chris Olave.
Love it.
The player prop for him right now at DraftKingsSportsbook.com is, I spelled his name wrong. There we go. Olave. 1,050.5 yards is the total for him for the year. We have him projected right now at Olave. It was something outrageous. It was over 1,300.
1,400.
1,315. So a difference of around, let's say, 270 receiving yards. So we have him over that. Now, an injury absolutely wipes that out throughout the course of the season, but he could even miss 2 games and still hit this number based on our projection right now. So I think that Chris Olave is my favorite over-under player prop of the season, Cam.
Oh, Pat, you're reading my mail, and this is just a natural segue. I didn't even see this one coming, but you've led it into my gold pick. Olave will be bet over, but I'm just going to go with his team. Give me the New Orleans Saints to win the South at plus 115. I love everything about this team. They have guys coming back. This is a defense that basically ended Tom Brady's career. Rob, remember those games? Brady could never handle the Saints. Now you have a reputable quarterback in Carr, a crazy defense. If they protect this guy, you're going to have some weapons all over the board. Michael Thomas comes back. We have Olave. Don't forget about Taysom Hill. I think that offense in that division is going to crush. Is there an X factor every year? There's a crazy team. Yes. Is it going to be Atlanta? I don't know. But I'm going to tell you this. You're giving me plus money on the Saints to win the South, the weakest division, at plus 115. You can sign me up. And I also like their wins total. What was it, Rob? Is it 9 flat with juice, or you can do the 9.5 to plus money? Either or. But my gold pick, Saints to win the South plus 115.
I like this bet a lot, and I don't like the Saints. And the reason why, so I've bet some Saints alternate win totals over as well.
Okay.
And the most important thing for me is the Saints schedule this year is an absolute cakewalk. The toughest teams they're going to play this season are the Jags and the Lions. They get both of those games at home, where they'll likely be a pick'em or even a small favorite in those games. You look at Derek Carr, who's been historically bad in bad weather. He's playing 13 of the 17 regular season games in a dome. The road games at the end of the year, when you typically have bad weather, are Tampa Bay and LA. So he's getting off the hook in all the bad weather games. And then you look at last year for the Saints, they were bottom 10 in net turnovers in the league. They were bottom 10 in man games lost due to injury. Yep. They were bottom 10 in opponent field goal percentage. So 3 of the biggest luck factors, even if they get some slight positive regression in those categories, that could be a big deal for them this year. I hate Dennis Allen. I think he's a joke of a head coach. But ultimately, I think so many things set up for the Saints to be a very good regular season team this year. If I could bet the Saints to win the division, make the playoffs, and lose their first playoff game, I'd find me that bet right now and I would take it because I think they're going to be a big regular season team due to this schedule. And then ultimately, people are going to find out they're not that good in the playoffs. But I like this bet, Cam. I think they're going to win the South.
Thank you very much.
You guys are not going to enjoy my bronze pick then, as we go through it all.
Pat, this is
we have a million things to pick from. A million things.
Exactly. We could bet 30. Like, my problem is, like, you think I had problems with gold, silver, and bronze before? What are we going to do with wins totals, the division winners, props on players? Like this, like, are you kidding me? This is almost impossible. But you know what, Pat? That's the beautiful thing about a family. Not everyone's going to disagree on dinner. We can't agree on every game. We have to have something that's different. That's what makes it fun. But I'm all in on the Saints, Rob. That division sucks. And you're right. Their schedule is absolutely, it's cake.
Well, at least I mentioned that I wanted Rob's silver pick a little bit earlier. So, Rob, what's your silver pick?
Okay, another player prop for me. Lamar Jackson under 3,500 and a half passing yards, minus 120. I think the market is overcorrecting on Lamar Jackson a little bit. All the talk in training camp, you have a new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. They obviously brought in Odell Beckham, so they have now Bateman, Beckham, Zay Flowers, and all of the talk is about how they're going to throw so much more. It's going to be a very pass-heavy team. I'm not necessarily buying it, but even if I do, I think that there's a lot of factors working against Lamar Jackson reaching these numbers. For one, I think they're going to be leading in a lot of games. I'm really high on the Ravens generally going forwards, which means lower pass attempts going forwards. But also on top of that, I just don't think that they're going to not utilize him to his strengths. I mean, he's a dual threat quarterback. That's going to happen instinctually when Lamar Jackson, a play breaks down, he's going to run the ball. And because of that, we've seen him lose games due to injury in the past 2 seasons. Even seasons where he stayed completely healthy, his highest passing yardage total was just over 3,100 yards. Now, granted, there was one less game in the season that year, but ultimately, I think this is a little bit too high of a number. I was expecting to see something in like the 3,300 range. So I'm high on the Ravens. I like Lamar Jackson. I like the offense, but I think people are getting too caught up in all of the preseason talk here. And ultimately, I think the under is a pretty solid bet.
So for my silver selection, I was between 2 teams and 2 unders. One was Washington, who, after just going through their schedule, is going to be tough to get over 6.5 wins, it looks like. And I think that they might actually want to end up tanking out and getting the first pick, or at least be in competition to get the first pick so they can trade up to get the first pick with Arizona or trade for Kyler, whatever it might be. I just think they're going to be pretty bad. And when you take a look at their schedule, it gets bad early. Like, they play the Cardinals in week 1. If there's a game the Cardinals are going to win, it kind of sounds like the game that they're going to win, to be perfectly honest with you. But then they go at Denver, home against the Bills, at the Eagles. Then they get the Bears and Falcons. Like, if they split those games, they can't win both those. It's going to be incredibly difficult for them to get the over. But I passed on that one as my silver pick, Cam. I'm picking on your team, Seattle Seahawks, under 9.5 wins. I just don't see it. Like, even if you give them the wins in the close games, it's going to be incredibly difficult for them to get to 10 wins, because I think that the Rams are much better than people are realizing.
I'm going to tell you this, Pat. Not only do I think the Seahawks are going to win the division, like, I think, and I'm usually not high on them, I think the 49ers are going to regress. I think Arizona is one of the worst teams. I think Seattle's actually going to be fantastic. We'll see what happens with Brock Purdy in a second year in San Francisco, but I think Seattle's going to do well. I think they're going to win 10 games. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be a sleeper. Hell, they almost beat San Francisco last year with all their guys banged up. So anyway, we disagree there. I think the Seattle Seahawks are a very good football team and very dangerous in San Francisco. Like, they're breathing down their neck now. They're that close. That's my opinion.
Yeah, if you let them go 4-2 in the division, let's say that's what they do. That seems, reasonable. I think they go 3-3. And they lose twice to the 49ers, and then they lose once to the Rams, and then beat the Cardinals twice. That kind of thing. I can see that happening within that division. Let's say they just go 4-2. It comes down to the end of the year where if you just give them the wins that they're supposed to have, their schedule ends 49ers, Cowboys, 49ers, Eagles, Titans, Steelers. Now, are they better than the Titans? I think they're about even with the Titans. I just think that Seattle wildly overachieved last year. Like, you got the best season Geno Smith's ever going to have. That if he just regresses a little bit, they could be okay. If he doesn't necessarily turn back into old Geno, like slightly better than old Geno, they're in a world of trouble.
I didn't disagree. I know they picked up the receiver, Smith and Jigba from Ohio State. He's got a wrist problem. He'll be back in week 3. And then you pair him with Lockett and Metcalf. They have one of the most underrated receiving cores in the league. They also drafted Charbonnet, the absolute tank from Michigan, to go along with their Walker Jr. and the McIntosh, a speed back who can catch balls out of the backfield from Georgia. I'm going to tell you, the offensive line is a little bit improved. I think Seattle's weakness, Rob, I'm not sure how you feel about it. I think it's their defensive line. The old Seattle Seahawks teams used to have Sam Adams, Cortez Kennedy. They get pressure on the quarterback and absolute cause mayhem. They don't get enough pressure on the quarterback, and that's a problem. Mobile quarterbacks can do well against them, but I'm still very high on Seattle this year, and I actually think they can win the division. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion, but I do think a lot of Pat's points are valid. So Geno Smith had over 300 pass attempts last year. He had 14 dropped interceptions. That was the most of any player in the league. We kind of saw him come down to earth a little bit as the year went on and teams started to figure him out. So I think it's more likely that Geno will be a bust this year than he is to continue on the success that he had last season. But I actually really like the Seahawks defense. I mean, they've done really well through the draft over the past couple of years. They have good corners. You mentioned the defensive line. They brought in Draymond Jones and Jaron Reed in the offseason as well to help kind of bolster that for them. So I don't know. Like, I think Seattle's a team with a very wide range of outcomes for the entire year. I can totally see a catastrophic season where they win 4 games. They kind of revert back into being a bad team. Defense is not, offense is more consistently predictable from year to year. So when I say that, like, Mahomes is going to be good every season. Josh Allen's going to be good. Like, there's just a lot of consistency from year over year. Defenses in the NFL, it's a lot more inconsistent. You'll often see the team that's the best defense in the year prior, they could become an average defense the next year. We see a lot more of that inconsistency. So I don't want to automatically say the Seahawks defense is going to improve this year or anything like that. But I could see, I'm not settling the debate here. I think this is one of these teams that anything can happen. Like they could win the division. They could win 4 games. Like it really comes down to an unknown in Geno Smith. But I think he got pretty lucky last year, honestly. Forced a lot of throws, got away with a lot of them. I think if he's going to come back and do that this year, it's going to lead to a lot more problems.
I kind of agree with you on the wider range. The problem is, like, when I look at max range, unless they sweep the 49ers, and then all of a sudden all bets are off the table. But like the max, I kind of have them like giving them all of the coin flip games, or what are at least I perceive to be coin flip games, and letting them steal one and then losing one, because that usually happens somewhere. You lose to a team you're supposed to beat, you beat a team you're supposed to lose to. We'll call that one a wash. Just give them all the coin flips and the games that they are supposed to win. I got them at 11 wins. That's a game and a half over. So I feel like that's the high end for them. And if they don't hit that peak, then it's going to be under.
I can see it. I mean, like I'm looking at the schedule you mentioned. Like, so many of these games are going to be close to coin flips.
They're
right?
going to annihilate Arizona and the Rams, though. Correct? And they can play with San Francisco.
I don't think they're going to annihilate the Rams. I think they'll split with
the
Rams.
That's where. See, Pat, that's our difference of opinion right there. Like, I think the Rams suck. You think the Rams are better than most people think. I think they're horrible.
The Rams might be horrible by week 10 if they lose a starter or two, but they catch the Rams in week 1 when the Rams are actually going to be healthy. And like, their starters are actually still very good.
Mm-hmm. No,
that's true. They get both games against it's week 1 and week 11. So by week 11, we'll know if Stafford's been traded and Aaron Donald's been traded or not. But yeah, I think they do get you. If you want to play the Rams, you want to play them later in the year when the likelihood is that they've probably unloaded a lot of these guys when they're not that competitive. This is.
Want to hear something crazy too, Rob? I just want to throw this out there. Sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
But if Geno Smith is absolutely horrible, Drew Lock is ready to go.
Yeah, great.
Okay?
That's fantastic news for a win total.
I'm you know what?
No. Hey, you're bringing us on the show. We're having a conversation here. The guy is getting better and better and better all the time. I don't care if it's the damn preseason. The numbers show it. I'm telling you, the best thing Seattle ever did was getting rid of Russell Wilson. They rebuilt their franchise. The Drew Lock was there, and people were like, oh, he's going to be the starter. Geno Smith and him are tight. It's like, listen, bro, sometimes people in this league, they're too quick to judge. Guys can be late bloomers. I'm telling you, Drew Lock is not as bad as people think he is. I think he'd manage the offense. And one thing, Pat, he's fleet of foot. I'm just saying that. I don't think, Rob, I don't know what you're going to say. about Drew Lock, but I'm just telling you, if Geno Smith absolutely stinks, Carroll will go, okay, Drew Lock, let's go in there. And I think he'll do a hell of a lot better than he did in the past, my opinion.
Drew Lock could have one leg and no arms, and he's a backup quarterback, and you'd still be here and stand for him because you just love every backup quarterback in the league and think that they could just step into a starting role. I think Drew Lock is terrible. With that said, in my community of friends, we have like this guy that we call the rookie card guy, where every single year.
I'm the rookie card guy.
No. Listen, hear me out. Hear me out here. This is in defense of you. Every single year, he gives us a player that's completely off the radar and says, go and buy this guy's rookie cards because they're going to be worth something at the end of the year. And he hits at a very high clip. Last year, he told us to go and buy Geno Smith rookie cards. And everyone's like, no, you're insane. This year, he's telling us to buy Drew Lock rookie cards. He's like, go out and get Drew Lock rookie cards. Geno's going to shit the bed. Drew Lock's going to come in and he's going to be great. This has, by the way, zero predictive value. This guy's only been doing it for like 6 years.
I don't care. The fact that he's picked 2 Seahawks too. I want to meet rookie card guy. He sounds like a friend of the program.
So what was his advice, to sell the Geno cards that you bought last year then?
Yes, that would be. I don't know specifically.
What has Geno's rookie card gone from, Rob? 17 cents to $5? Like, it's a good investment if you bet 1,000 of them.
Well, if you bought up all the rookie cards and you have this, there you go. I mean, but I don't know. I cannot believe that Drew Lock can be a quality quarterback.
I can, but anyway, this is what me and you, rookie card guy, us versus the world. Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Are cards still worth anything, or was that just like a pandemic thing where they had that huge?
Oh no, they're worth something.
And now they're like back to no one cares anymore.
I can ask my buddy Darren Ravel, and I'll report back on you. He's the big sports cards guy.
You know what it is, Pat? Sports cards, the ones. It's kind of like anything in life. The ones that were not printed a million of, like. Right, Rob? Remember when hockey cards came out, we all had the same rookie cards and stuff. It's like money, kind of like, or currency. Like when you print too many cards, it doesn't matter if the guy's great. The card's not going to be worth any money. But a lot of the older ones that you'll find, sure, I'm not going to say the card market is what it used to be, where all the old crazy men, took all the cards away from the kids and just and ruined the market by buying everything. So I would say this, Pat, like older stuff, but nowadays I have no idea, right, Rob? Like there's so many different cards, like, oh, this card has fabric on it, or there's a piece of the jersey and this and that. Like, before they were damn paper cards with bad gum in it, that used to stick to the card, that you wanted Patrick Roy's rookie card that got a big gum stain in it. Thanks.
Well, I have a friend who started collecting baseball cards during the pandemic because, some people were like buying stocks that had gone down. He was
some
like,
people just drink.
I need to get into the baseball card. Yeah, but he was doing it to like make a ton of money. And now he has like 10,000 baseball cards in his apartment. I don't think they're worth shit. Yeah,
most of them are worth nothing. Yeah. Especially the commons, 4 cents. Yeah, just use them as kindling.
It's like when Jeff spent like $100,000 on Herbert rookie cards during the pandemic.
Well, Herbert's pretty good.
I mean, a Super Bowl changes it all, right?
Yeah, exactly. I like the Chargers this year, by the way.
Oh, well, is that your bronze pick then? Or your
I've been giving my silver pick.
Like I said, I'm just whacked out of it.
Oh, Pat, no, trust me. I hung out with these guys. Like my brother was in town. I took my mom and dad for their 50th anniversary. Then I had to go to my fantasy draft last night. Like the alarm clock, I slept through it. I'm just really glad I'm here, and it's a pleasure to see you guys. Cincinnati Bengals. Under 11.5. Rob, I found an 11.5 with juice. Okay. Hear me out. Pat, if it's an 11, I'll take it.
How much is, I'm not trying to play. Well, we can get it there. What's the juice that you got?
Yeah.
On 11.5, I had to lay 30 cents, and then 11, I think it's flat. I'll take, I kind of like the hook.
DraftKings, you can use the slider and just get the other alt line at 11.5. So
okay. You tell me what the juice is. Is it under like 35, 40?
It is 11.5 is minus 150 to the under.
Okay, I'll take 11 then. I'm not going to see. I'm not a cheater, Rob. I play the game right. What's 11 flat?
They don't have that.
Doesn't matter. The Cincinnati Bengals under. I think Joe Burrow's injury is a little bit more than people think. There's other teams in the division. Rob brought up a great point about the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to be a lot better. I'm usually very down on the Ravens. The addition of Zay Flowers and guys that they have. I'm only concerned, Rob, too, they got a lot of injuries in that secondary. Hopefully they can get some guys back, but the Pittsburgh Steelers under Kenny Pickett are going to be better. I basically look at every team in that division getting better and Cincinnati staying stagnant. Asking them to win 12 games, I think, is a hell of a lot. I love the 11.5, but guys, these guys are all over me. We're not going to lay juice over a certain number. 11 under Cincinnati Bengals. I'm usually, see, Rob, what have I done? Friend of cats? Well, this cat I had to let go. because there's other cats that I'm going to be taking in. And the Cincinnati Bengal, he's hitting the streets. He's gone. He's out of my domicile. He's history. I like him under this year. I don't think they're going to be this team everyone thinks. I love Joe Burrow as a quarterback, but personally, I think he's dealing with a nagging injury that's going to bother him all season long. And hey, Baltimore almost beat these guys with Huntley as their quarterback. Just saying, Cincinnati under.
Turning the page on the Cats. Maybe this year you'll bet against the backup quarterback too.
No.
Maybe
First
I
for
will.
everything.
Give me enough. I bet.
No, he'll just be
any backups. Like,
well,
no.
you're here every week arguing they're as good as the starter. Why would
Not
you
all
ever
the
bet
time.
against the backup?
Oh, I could say Aidan O'Connell of the Raiders is going to be better than Jimmy Garoppolo eventually. I don't think you guys will have an argument with that.
Well, I'm surprised that you're not here saying, well, if Joe Burrow goes down, Trevor Siemian or Jake Browning is going to step in and take them to 13 wins.
That's my point. Actually, with this one, Rob, see, I've changed over the summer. Have I become a different guy? Not only lost a few pounds, but not. Cincinnati's backups reek compared to some of the other backups in the league. Browning, like, give me a break. It's a fishing company. He's not a third string quarterback, right? Isn't Browning like hunting equipment where you sit there and ping off ducks in your hut? Anyway, whatever it is. Actually, it's a gun too. Bengals under 11.
Okay.
Made my case. You like it, guys? Just tell me. You could appease me. You could lie to me. You could say whatever you like. Just tell me.
It's fine.
Tell me something.
I'm. It wouldn't get my money, but I'm not here trying to pound the over either.
Yeah, exactly.
If you made me pick, I'd take the under on the Bengals. The division is very tough. Like Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. You have quarterback concerns going into the year. You have secondary concerns going into the year. They lost Jesse Bates and Von Bell. Yep. And like Eli Apple's not very good, but he was a starting corner for them and they lost him in the offseason as well. So I don't know. I think that there's a lot of concerns. If you go back to this millennium, since the year 2000, there's been 92 teams in the NFL that have had a win total of 10.5 or more heading into the year. If you actually take away the Tom Brady teams, only 40% of them have won over. It's, typically they're inflated. Lots of people want to bet overs on good teams. That's just naturally the way people think. And they're usually a little bit higher than they actually should be. So I'm with you, Cam. The only thing is I'm looking at their schedule right now. And there's a lot of tough games there in the middle of the year. Yeah, you know what? I'm with you, Cam. I kind of like the under here as well.
Fair enough. Hey, this is what we're here for. We have that, Pat. It's a good mix of people. Me, you, Rob. We all have different opinions, different ways to attack things. And I'm just telling you, I look at the numbers, Pat, and you're asking basically to win a bet the Bengals to win 12 games. I think it's a hell of a lot in a division that is full of killers and teams that have improved significantly.
Bronze selections for the NFL futures. Here are two I want to throw by you. They are not my bronze pick, but I want to get your opinion on them because Jeff had some thoughts on this one. How do you feel, Cam, about Damar Hamlin minus 285 to be comeback player of the year?
First of all, I have a problem with what's happening here. We cannot bet minus 200s. If I can't take the Bengals at 40 cents, you're not going to lay a 3-1. He's a lock. Basically, he doesn't get hurt, he's a lock.
That's all I want to know.
It with something. Okay.
That's all I want to know. Do you think it is a lock or is it not a lock, Rob?
It's a lock because that's the way the NFL is. If he lives and plays and doesn't get hurt, right, Rob? It's always a feel-good story, right? Like it's one of those things. Like if Alex Smith was playing, remember that time he was playing with his leg? Like anything is, if you're going out there and grinding, hell, the guy almost died. So if he stays on the football field, I would have to consider it being a lock.
I don't think it's a lock.
Okay.
But minus 285 is probably a good bet. I mean, it probably should be closer to minus 500.
500.
I'm trying to think of I think Russell Wilson could win comeback player of the year if Sean Payton turns him back into the guy that he was. If Cooper Kupp has an MVP caliber season, he could win comeback player of the year. Who else is there? Calvin
Drew
Ridley
Brees, if he does magical things with the Saints. There's that. No, actually, that's not. He doesn't really fit the bill.
Well, John Mitchie is the other one too. Coming back from leukemia. He's 28-1 right now, but he might not see the field.
Rob, he's from our area. Michie's from Mississauga.
Yeah,
right?
he's an Ontario boy.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's there's Odell Beckham. There's what if Dak Prescott got hurt week 1 and Trey Lance came in and it took the Cowboys to the playoffs? He'd win. But these are such
Drew Lock 250-1.
Even then, I guess Drew Lock. Is Drew Lock on the board? Is Drew Lock actually on the board?
Drew Lock is not on the board.
he's called other now, but you know when the book says call for request for other players, maybe
Yes.
I'll have to give him a call.
What about Tua?
Good call. Good call,
comeback
Rob.
player.
Tua could make the
Anyways,
list.
the thing is, I kind of feel like if Hamlin is just like on the field, he's gonna get votes.
Yes.
Like
See,
he doesn't
that's-
even have to play well. It's got to be
Yeah.
on the field, right?
Right.
Guy almost died on the field. How do you? I think he should be minus 500 probably.
Well, I think at some other
least.
places he was like minus 700, but DraftKings for whatever reason is laying him at minus 285. That's why I bring it up. It's not one of my picks, but I just want to get.
Can you parlay it with something, Pat?
I don't
And then I
believe-
think it's probably a wicked bet.
Okay, so minus 285 is 74%. The probability is way higher than 74%. Like we're like what do we? He's probably 9 out of 10, right? Like 90%,
so.
minus
Yes.
900. Like that's a fair value. Jeff has got this in his head now, so I don't want to argue with him because he might hate me for life. But I think he's been maybe
Too many
puffing
Crown Royals and
too many
Dr. Peppers.
vapes at home by himself on the couch.
Well, yeah, you have to remember too that Jeff is still under the impression that this is not the real Damar Hamlin. This is just a hologram or something.
Oh, true. Just like who was it from the Beatles? McCartney, right?
Yeah, Paul-
that was like
Paul
the theory
is dead,
for
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
He's dead. Paul's dead. Miss him, miss him, miss him. Like whatever the Beatles record played backwards was. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jeff. We got to put down again. This is what happens when too many Crown and Cokes and vapes on the couch. You get into the conspiracy theory documentaries. Then what happens? They think, YouTube just keeps serving you things they think you like. And then you start to get it on Instagram and everything like that.
Kind of
So
on Jeff's side. I've been getting a lot of weird stuff lately, but we can't get into it on this show. That
We
gets
we
deep
can't
here.
give us one example of a
No,
weird.
just
weird
people just things that are happening since Elon Musk took over Twitter. Like I don't even know what's happening with these people and like a lot of weird stuff, like things that I've never explored in my life. I don't know where they're finding me. Like anyway, I don't want to say the TV's watching us, but it might be, Rob. Anyway, we're not gonna do Unsolved Mysteries conspiracy show, but sometimes I think Jeff maybe is ahead of the curve. That's all. He's just let him be.
Cam,
Let him be.
also a Damar Hamlin truther. Didn't realize that.
wow. I didn't think we would be the outsiders here, Pat. But
I know.
Man.
with
This
geez.
is great. Anyway,
So
did we pick a bronze?
no,
or
we're
was
still
that-
going through it. I toyed with, and I actually did bet this one, so it probably should be. It's. I bet the Carolina one. I've bet this one, and the other two I'm going to bet right after the show. But I had the Vikings to win the NFC North at plus 285, considering their win total is 8.5. Detroit's is 9.5. Yet Detroit's like plus 140 to win the division. I mean, it's still fucking Detroit. Detroit's going to blow this. Everyone knows this. And the Vikings will be like, oh, their defense can't They gave up like 400 yards a game last year. Rob, you pointed it out earlier. Like, they could be a league median average defense this year just based on it being defense. We know their offense is good. If their defense was just okay, they're going to win like 12 games.
I mean, they brought in Brian Flores as their defensive coordinator. That's enough right there that with the same personnel, they probably finished like 10 spots higher on defense. So I'm with you. I mean, you pick your team. Like for me in that division, I kind of wanted to take a flyer on the Packers.
Me too.
Because I like Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love, maybe he's a little bit overhyped heading into the year, but if he is what he's looked like in preseason, there's a legitimate shot. But I think any team in that division is live. I would never bet the Lions at the current market prices. And that's not me being like a Dan Campbell or Detroit hater. It's just like they've gone from, the underdog story, right? Where everyone wanted to bet them. Oh, they're so great against the spread as underdogs and this and that. And they had that great second half of last season to all of a sudden there's this expectations on the team and they're that much better than everyone else. I don't agree with that. So I don't mind Minnesota either. I think they're kind of being put undervalued, Pat, because of like the record in close games last year. And everyone's like, oh, if they were only 500 in close games, they would have been a 500 team. Well, I mean, yeah, that's true. That happens on an annual basis. But now like everybody knows about that stuff and it's baked into the price on that market already. So I'm fine with the Vikings as an option, but I prefer the Packers a little bit as a long.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I think the Vikings finished last in that division this year. I think they're horrible.
But you're a Damar Hamlin
Absolutely
truther,
horrible.
so how can we trust anything you say?
Hey,
Now?
I'm not. Hey, this is good. You guys brought me on the show. We're not going to disagree, Pat. I think the Lions win that division at plus 140 for fun. I don't care if everybody's on them. What? Right. Okay. You know what, Rob? I actually do agree with one thing you said. I think the Packers are going to be, I would take the Packers over the Vikings. And I think the Bears are going to be a little bit better, but what's stopping the Lions? They've improved on every part of the Goff's fine. The defense is fine. They're ready to rock. Like, who's going to beat them in that division? You think Minnesota's better than Detroit? You think Minnesota's better than Detroit?
No, but I think Minnesota. I think
don't.
Minnesota at their price is a way better bet than Detroit. The defense is not fine for Detroit. I don't know where that became a thing all of a sudden. Like, okay, they bring in like Emmanuel Mosley, CJ Gardner-Johnson. They drafted what's his name there, Jack Campbell or whatever. But like that, they were a horrendous defense last year, like really, really bad a season ago. So yeah, I mean, I'm not convinced that the line, like when we look at the gap in the division, it's like Detroit's that much better than everyone. The one thing I will say that I love about the Lions, they have a very good offensive line. And that's like, that mitigates a lot. Like, I'm not a Jared Goff fan, but he's clean. He's kept clean every single game. He's got protection. That's the one thing for me there. But I still don't think the defense is all that to write home about. And I think that's going to be a challenge for them this year.
And I think this is the best way to pick out the division odds. Like, I don't mind Green Bay here. And listen, I agree that Detroit probably should be the betting favorite in this division, just based on the way that the public perceives them. And if they're close, then you're just going to lean towards Detroit. And I think these two are very close. I would prefer Minnesota. That's me. But you are getting double the odds to bet Minnesota than you are Detroit.
Yeah. Listen, like, another thing is, last year, the Lions finished number 2 in EPA on offense in the entire league. Number 2. The chance that they're going to be number 2 this year, in my opinion, is low. Like that was with all the dropped interceptions. So like we talked about the Geno Smith dropped interceptions. Jared Goff was right up there. I think he was like next highest on the list in terms of turnover worthy plays that didn't result in a turnover. Like, the chance that they're going to replicate the offense from a season ago, in my opinion, is not high. That's not to say that they're not going to be a good offense. I think they're going to be a good offense, but are they going to be the second best from an EPA perspective? No. So like, I think they're going to get worse offensively. I don't think the defense is as improved as people think they are. This is your cue to go bet them to go undefeated this year. If you're watching this video, whenever I get very passionate about a subject.
Take Detroit. Despite all your comments, I'm still taking them to win the division. It was going to be my bronze pick, but I got another one instead.
All right. Well, what is your bronze pick?
San Francisco 49ers under 11 wins.
I see what you've done here, Cam. You just targeted 2 of the best 5 teams in the league and said, I want the under.
Yep.
I like it.
Sure did.
Yep.
You got a problem with it?
No.
I'll tell you so.
I personally don't. I don't bet overs on these high win totals.
I can't believe it. It's been bet down. I got this thing. I've seen it on some sites where they're doing like 10 and a half plus whatever. I'm not lying to you. I got an 11 minus 115. I'll send you the screenshots. This team with Brock Purdy, okay, in his second year, everybody's talking, oh yeah, going to improve. We'll see. I'm not, Rob, and this is the thing about data, and I don't have the data, but I can tell you one thing from watching football for many years. Second year, it's not as easy for this kid. He came out as an absolute hero. Oh yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You don't think teams are going to figure him out? He was a 7th round draft pick for a reason. Okay. He's not going to be getting any better. I think he's going to regress. They already have issues with Bosa coming in with camp and all the other things that are going on with San Francisco. Okay. Sam Darnold, you can say what you want about the backup. He won the backup job instead of Trey Lance. San Francisco defense is still good, but in that division and games, you're asking these guys to win 12 games. It's Rob, similar argument to the Bengals argument. The NFL is a very tough league, Pat. You guys know this stuff. It's nuts. 11 under San Francisco. I'm not buying in. That's my pick for bronze. And I would love to slap it in half and say Detroit Lions plus 140 to win the division as well. But that's an extra
bunch throw them together in a parlay, Darren Ravel style right there.
Those odds aren't deep enough. You got to throw Hamlin on there as well, and then
you need to add another
exactly,
5 picks in round robin.
You're right. I got to do like a make the cut, miss the cut parlay in golf. Like, yeah,
make the playoffs, miss the playoffs parlay. We could do it.
We'll do one at
the
end.
We could.
We'll do one at the end and see how that works out. The It's funny that to compare the two teams because the Niners are so much better than the Rams this year. But I do believe that the Rams are going to be fine until an injury or two or a trade or two that takes away their best players. And then all of a sudden, like, they have absolutely no depth. San Francisco, if everyone just stays healthy, they're going to be amazing. But that just doesn't happen in the NFL.
You're right.
And we saw it at different points last year, too, where they would lose. Like, the game they lost to Atlanta just randomly out of nowhere because everyone was beat up on their team. They don't have the most depth in the world, and they're supercharged, especially on offense when Debo isn't dealing with a gimpy hamstring, and McCaffrey is fine. Like, it's weird to think
He'll get hurt this year, though.
No problem.
He always does.
Yeah, but then you bring in Elijah Mitchell, but then the offense is slightly different than it was before. So there's so many different cogs that go around that you want everything to be churning on the same wheel throughout the season that they're probably going to have like 3 or 4 injury losses throughout the course of the season. So I like the under like you do. I still think they're going to be a good team. But them not winning the Super Bowl, Rob, really throws the optimal Pat Mayo experience season out of whack, which is the Niners with Sam Darnold at quarterback beating the Jets in the Super Bowl.
Oh my God. That would be the end of Cust forever, man. He would never be able to show his face again if that happened. But like, this is the thing too. Like, okay, so for 11 win total, you need 12 to lose for one. You have uncertainty at quarterback. Like, I would never want to bet the over on San Fran with the uncertainty at quarterback. People think like, oh, all of a sudden, if Brock Purdy has, re-aggravates arm injury or he's not as good as Sam Darnold's just going to come in. And because Kyle Shanahan's the coach, he's just going to be an amazing quarterback. Like, no, Darnold stinks, man. Like, he sucks. We saw him suck with 2 teams already. He's probably going to stink with San Fran on top of that. They're coming off the easiest schedule in the league a year ago by a mile, by the way. Played the easiest schedule of opposing teams in the league and opposing offenses. I'm not saying the defense is bad. Defense is amazing. But when you play that many bad offenses from a year ago, it makes you look a lot better than you actually are. So, I'm with Cam on this one. Like, I still think the NFC stinks, for one. There's just not that many good teams. So maybe they just cakewalk their way to, a 13-4. But in the long run, I think there's way more scenarios where San Fran finishes with 10 wins or less than they do with 12 wins or more.
Okay. Rob, your bronze selection.
I'm going to defy the rules of what we do here, and I'm going to bet a huge favorite. And
I'll balance it out. I'll balance it out for you with my bronze pick.
You're allowed to do whatever. There's no law.
Listen,
do whatever you want.
Value is value. Value is value. I preach it. Some people don't want to bet big favorites because they can't stand it if they lose. Dallas Cowboys to make the playoffs minus 230. That's the bet. Again, this goes back to the NFC being generally weak. I don't know that Dallas.
No. But you did break the rules because we have a rule of juice that is under 40%. Do we not, Pat? Or is this not the way we roll? And what's the deal?
I just did a whole speech about not breaking the rules because I'm going to pick a big favorite, and you just said it's okay. And then as I'm giving the pick, you telling me I'm breaking the rules. Like, what are we doing here?
What are we doing? Okay. You're laying 240. Fair
230.
enough.
230.
Sorry, 230. So you don't have an attachment. You don't have a dance partner. You don't got anything. Just keep talking. Anyway, it's fine. We're all friends here. I'm flabbergasted, shocked. I have no idea what to say right now. And you guys are mocking me for my Seahawk pick and everything else, but whatever.
No. First of all, wait, we'll back up for a second here. Mocking you for your Seahawk pick. What are we talking about here?
What are we talking about here? Drew Lock and all the jokes and rookie card guy and this team, Geno Smith sucks and blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And you're laying 230 with the Cowboys to make the playoffs?
What I'm going to say is we never instituted any rules. It's just been kind of like an unwritten rule, like how baseball has all these stupid unwritten rules that we're just going to try to take things in the pick'em range. That's been the thing.
So the question is when we do the mineral show with spreads or whatever, so is there a threshold with a minus 3.5, minus 140 or?
Well, I would say you give out whatever pick you want, but you open yourself to being mocked.
Okay, fair. That's all I wanted. And I'll shut up now. And the floor is yours, Rob. Homer.
Okay. I was going to say, I'm a Cowboys fan. Okay.
Yes, you are.
I honestly think this should be priced at minus 300 or higher. You look at a season ago, Dallas, with the quarterback that finished with the most interceptions in the entire league, finished with 12 wins. the floor on the Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion, is very high. They have one of the best defenses in the league. They generate a ton of pressure. They have a quarterback who, frankly, got very unlucky last year in that any ball that got tipped, anything that could have been a turnover, ended up in a turnover. I think you'll see a vast improvement in that category. They dump Zeke. Tony Pollard is now the bell cow there. The two areas of weakness they had last year, receiver, they bring in Brandon Cooks. Corner, they bring in Stephon Gilmore. It's a very deep team with talent all around. And I look around the NFC, compare the Cowboys roster to that of like all these middling teams in the NFC. And I think that there's just a very, very, very high likelihood that Dallas is going to make the playoffs. Doesn't mean they're going to go far. They'll probably lose in the first week to San Francisco like they normally do or whatever. But I think the likelihood that they're there is very high. So give me Cowboys minus 230. And again, I feel like this should be priced at minus 300 or higher.
I can't disagree. I'm not going to bet it, but
I'm not betting it either. But I know he's right. So basically, but also attached to your argument, you're having to believe that the Giants are going to regress or Philadelphia. Yes. Something has to happen with them. Correct?
Well, not so. Four teams could make the playoffs from the NFC.
Oh,
East.
I understand that, but I'm just saying though.
I think the Giants are not as good as they.
Fair enough.
So Daniel Jones had a very small average depth of target last year. Typically speaking, you go through an offseason and all these teams are now watching the Giants film. They don't have a downfield threat. Like you just take away the short stuff, and I think the Giants offense is going to struggle. So you could talk about all the wide receivers they brought in. They didn't bring in a number one receiver. They just brought in more depth at receiver. So I think the Giants are not as good as people think. Washington, very high range, but I don't think Sam Howell is a starting caliber quarterback. And the Eagles, I think, are very, very good, but they did lose pieces in the offseason. They've had to retool their defense a whole lot. So you never know what's going to happen in that situation. And Jalen Hurts plays a brand of football that is prone to injury as well. So it's just like, look at the NFC, man. Look at these teams in the NFC. Like the AFC is one thing, where it's just like loaded. The NFC it's rough. It's bad. A lot of bad football teams.
Well, to balance out your minus 230, I'm going to go with a 10-1 underdog as my bronze pick of the year. Now, we made all of our gold selections from one division, the NFC South. I will be taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win the NFC South. Now, if you really want to get crazy, Baker Mayfield, 75-1 comeback player of the year, Rob.
Now we're getting insane. But
I don't even know what the hell's happening right now.
Hear me out on this one.
Yeah, no, we'll hear you out, Pat.
But
I think he's actually going to be better than people think. But okay. Yep.
I think they have a better than 10% chance of winning this division, mainly because this division is absolutely putrid. We talked about the Saints. Now, you bet on the Saints to win the division. I agree that they should be the favorite in the division. I think they are the best team in this division. But, Rob, you pointed out Dennis Allen is just horrible coach. The defense is really good, but defense can regress at the same time. And just because you add in Derek Carr over Andy Dalton and Jameis, or even bring Jameis back in, whatever it might be, doesn't necessarily solve all your offensive woes. Even if Michael Thomas is back, who has played like 2 games in the past 3 years. So everyone is wish casting onto a lot of these teams, especially the Saints. Now, the Saints have the highest floor of any of these teams. That's great. Then you have Atlanta. Everyone just wants them to be really good. They're probably not going to be very good. They just have like guys that you will draft in fantasy despite not being any good. They're the guys that bust on your fantasy team every year. Yet every year people are lining up to be like, oh yeah, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. Watch Bijan fall into this same thing. Like Arthur Smith runs a certain style of offense. This defense is no good. If Atlanta won 3 games, would anyone be terribly surprised? No, they wouldn't. They could be absolute shit. Carolina, I bet them under 7.5 as my favorite bet of the entire future season. I don't think that they're going to be any good. Then Tampa, do I think that they're good? No, absolutely not. They did win this division last year with Tom Brady, who absolutely stunk a year ago. Like Baker Mayfield looked all right with the Rams when he went there. If he's just okay, they have exactly the same team, but with Baker Mayfield now instead of Tom Brady. Their defense should be all right. They still got Todd Bowles. They still got players on the defensive end. He can still just chuck the ball up to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They're healthy now. I don't see why they're the shit team in this division amongst all of the other shit teams. They're just as shit as everyone else.
Well, they're considered the shit team because of Baker Mayfield. So your opinion has to be that like Mayfield can turn it around. So I don't hate this bet, by the way. I actually kind of like it. I bet some 5-1s on Tampa Bay to make the playoffs. That doesn't mean that they have to win the division to do so, but I think that there is an upside case for them. The problem with Mayfield is he has a major issue with turnovers. He always has, and that just like limits the upside of his teams. The thing for me though with Tampa, and you're right, Pat, like, okay, Tom Brady, like I don't want to dismiss the downgrade from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield, but Brady wasn't great last season. On top of that, like the offense was tough to watch because of like all these early down runs, right? Like Byron Leftwich calling runs on 1st and 2nd down. It's 3rd and 8 every single 3rd down play. Like if they just switch that and don't do that, they're already a better team just by not running the dumbest plays over and over. And the organization is not rebuilding. Like they re-signed Mike Evans, they re-signed Carlton Davis, they re-signed Jamel Dean. They're actually trying to win. They had 1 million injuries last year in the secondary all year long. Shaq Barrett tore his Achilles. He's back this year as well. Like I think there is a legitimate upside case for the Bucs, but it really is reliant on Mayfield protecting the ball. And the likelihood of that happening, in my opinion, is low. He's just too much of like a gunslinger in the sense that he can't help himself. It's like when Jameis was there, and it's the exact same situation. These guys can't help themselves in some scenarios. So that to me limits it a little bit. But at that price, 10-1, like I said to Cam, I don't think the Saints are good. I think they're just going to win the division because their schedule is a cakewalk and they're marginally better than everyone else. But I think there's an upside case for Tampa Bay. I do. So I don't hate it, Pat. I don't love
to your point, the price is ridiculous.
Yes.
Carolina's got a rookie quarterback going on. The Saints still have issues, even though I still think they're much better than the other teams. And like, and Atlanta, who the hell knows with those guys? And their defense still reeks. And Desmond Ridder, let's be honest, Rob, you want to talk about backup quarterbacks? He should be one. He has not proven he's a starting quarterback in the league. So yes, Pat, when you look at the price, it's one of those things, it's out of whack. I do agree. I think the Saints win the division, but you're right. The number is very strong.
Okay. I thought I was going to get more pushback on that. What we need from Baker, Rob, is what you pointed out earlier with Goff and Geno. He just needs a few dropped interceptions, lead the league in that, and we're good.
It can happen. Quarterbacks get lucky over the course of the year. They look way better than they are. It happens. And it's like the opposite happens as well. But I mean, I just wish that, like, I'm not a Kyle Trask fan either. Like, I wish they had like another guy behind Baker where maybe if Baker stunk, they could just pivot like a Jacoby Brissett or something like that, where you know that maybe he's going to come in and not piss away games for them. That's my only thing. But I don't know. It can happen. Like this is the NFL, and we see weird shit who thought Geno Smith was going to come out last year, except for rookie card guy?
Didn't I say he was going to be okay? I didn't think he was going to be like amazing.
Well, when you go through every backup quarterback in the league and you say they're all going to be good, you're hit at a 5% rate. You can't really pat yourself on the back, right?
Fair enough.
So let's do the final thing of we'll each select 2 teams, a yes or no, and make a 6-team to make the cut, or not make the cut, to make the playoffs parlay. And then you can tweet it at Rovell if it wins, Rob.
Could we do to not make the playoffs, or is it a yes/no market, or is it just yes?
It's yes or no.
Yeah,
you can do the yes/no market.
Okay.
So I assume I assume you're taking the Cowboys since they were one of your best bets.
Yeah, let's put Dallas minus 230. You need some of those plays in there to, increase your payout a little bit, right? You don't want to just put every 4-1 underdog in there.
Okay. Saints to make the playoffs for me.
All right. What are the Saints to make the playoffs? They are minus 190 to make the playoffs.
Seems like good value, Rob.
See, I wouldn't put them on this because I would rather just bet them to win. I'd rather throw their division.
No, well, that's why
I don't think they'll be a wild card. I think they would just win the division. I think only one.
Oh, I gave you the picks.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Okay, hold on. Are we just trying to win a bet? Or are we trying to build a friggin' skyscraper?
We're not trying to build a skyscraper, but I think those are bad odds. Minus 190.
Okay. So what?
It's your pick. It's on there. Like I'm just.
Okay.
Yeah, we just blame you if it loses.
Exactly.
That's what happens. We play the blame game.
Fair enough.
Who am I going to throw on? I will go. Where's Tennessee at?
What, to make or miss?
To make.
Make?
They're going
Yeah,
to do
that's-
that.
210 plus 210 to make.
And what are the Vikings to make? I'll take the Vikings to make the playoffs at
Plus
plus
115.
115.
Oh, jeez.
Cam's not playing this parlay.
Well, Cam wants to lay 90 cents on the Saints when he can bet them at plus 115.
Okay, give me a dog then to make the playoffs. It's either Pittsburgh or the Browns. Like, who do I take in that division? I don't know. What are the
Pittsburgh-
Chargers to make the playoffs? Probably minus 200.
Minus 125 Chargers.
Sold.
That was what I was going to take right now. So
Thank
you know what?
Take another. That's mine
yeah.
now.
I kind of want to root against the team. Just that's my nature. Like I want to take a no. Could be the Lions.
Just pick a team that I like so you can root against them all year, Rob. You get double your pleasure.
Seattle,
You know what?
Seattle to not make the playoffs was going to be one of my choices, I think.
Yeah,
I'm going to
go
take
for it.
the New York Jets not to make the playoffs at plus 110.
I agree with that pick. They were actually going to be my after bronze, Rob, under 9.5 wins. Jets. Put that on the list.
All right, so we got, what's our parlay worth right now? No, I don't want to bet all 5 singles. Oh, I can't even parlay all these 5 together. Yeah, we'll figure it out either way. So we got those 5. Dallas, New
Yes.
Orleans, Minnesota, the Chargers all to make it. The Jets not to make it. And I will take Seattle to not make the playoffs at even money.
This is just you broke my heart, Pat. Like I was just really hoping for a good year. This is the first year I'm actually really excited about the
You
Birds.
should have been
Like, I
excited
think
about them last year when I put. Listen, I was all over the Seahawks last year. Loved the Seahawks when everyone thought they were going to be terrible. I do enjoy how going into last season, the Seahawks will be in competition for the number 1 pick. They're going to be absolute dog shit. They have a quarterback who overachieves. Now, well, you might as well put him in the Super Bowl. Doesn't work like that.
They drafted well. That's
Do
drafted
we
well.
know that they drafted well last year? Do we know that they drafted well this year?
Yeah, I think they did. I think that Witherspoon kid from Illinois is going to be an absolute killer, and that's what they needed in the secondary. All their other guys, Smith and Jigba from Ohio State is a game changer. Once that wrist injury happens, I watched this guy play. Pat, they got a lot of weapons on their team. You were ahead of the curve with the Seahawks. I just didn't think their kids were going to show up that quick, but anyway, I think they'll challenge San Francisco this year for the division. I think it's going to be a real dogfight. We'll see.
Rams to win that division. What's that payout? Should have picked
Oh
that
my
one.
God! Cut his mic.
Wrap it
Rams.
up, Pat. Wrap it up.
See.
Rams plus.
Enough.
This is why I think that the Tampa Bay 10-1 bet is a good bet because the Rams are also
It is.
10-1. And the Rams do not have a 10% chance of winning that division.
Yes,
they have like a 5%
that's
chance or
it.
something.
You know what, Pat? Agreed. Look at the same odds with the loser teams. Now you got to beat San Francisco, Seattle. Like, come on. Yeah, you're right. I'll agree with the value play on the Bucks.
Yeah, who else is like at the very bottom? Like the Texans are 8-1 to win the AFC South.
Actually, you know what? They can
What?
beat Indy.
Sure, that's
They
great.
can-
Indy's 6-1 to win the division.
Well, that's the thing. They got to beat Jacksonville.
They gotta beat
need,
the Titans.
Trevor
The-
Lawrence to get hurt.
Are people
Titans.
just over the Titans because they had a bad finish to last year? They have like the same team.
I don't know what to think about the Titans. I'm always they're there. Like they're right
Like
in the middle.
Like if
I
they don't have
think
to have Malik Willis start any games for them, they might be okay.
What do you think about the Titans, Rob?
I think Vrabel consistently gets way more out of his team than they're like. The problem I have is I look at the Titans on paper and I'm always like, how does this team possibly win any games, especially offensively? Like they're just very limited in their weapons. Offensive line is an issue, but then they just do. And I'm not completely sold on Jacksonville either, as like they have a great quarterback. They don't have a ton of, surrounding talent, especially on defense. So I could see it.
Like Titans
I don't
plus
know.
350 to win that division is a better bet than Jags minus 155.
I agree.
And when we take a look
Will
at
Levis, hey, Pat, you hear about that guy? He puts mayonnaise in his coffee instead of cream.
yeah, I heard he
Yeah,
could
he got himself a lifetime deal.
Yeah, I heard
Cashed in, baby.
Yeah, he
Oh,
needs
he's with Duke's Mayo now. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sponsor of the bowl game.
he,
Amazing.
he needs to cash in because he couldn't beat up Malik Willis for the backup job.
It's
Yeah,
true.
it's a problem.
Will Levis. It's a real issue. But you know what? This is a lesson to anyone out there. If you get yourself like famous, semi-famous or whatever, just do something really stupid and get yourself a sponsorship for life.
I tried mayonnaise in my coffee. I thought it would be worse, but I'm not going to say I prefer cream.
I'm not
Like
gonna.
everybody, like every other normal human being. Well, no, they asked me to try it on the air, so I did. I thought it would be worse.
Okay.
It's all right.
So this was post Will Levis. It wasn't pre Will Levis.
No, it was pre. Like when we found out he did it, I put mayonnaise in my coffee.
But you post finding out that.
Yes. Oh yeah, okay. I'm not like I woke up one morning and go,
No,
oh man, I got no milk or cream. I'll try. I'll put Hellman's in my coffee. What an idea!
You did eat dog biscuits as snacks when I worked with you.
I've done a lot of things, but those
I wouldn't put it past you.
Yeah, no, but at least I follow up on my bets. When I say I'm going to do something, right, Rob? When I lose, I do it. Got to admit.
Alpo for Valpo. Remember?
Yeah, no,
Valparaiso.
Valpo.
Cam had to eat Alpo dog treats on air. He ate one.
They were dry,
and then
Pat, not
he
wet.
continued to snack on them for the remainder of the show.
Not wet. I did not dip into the wet food. It had to be dry.
No, but you did eat them as regular crackers.
I took a bite of them afterwards when I was really hungry when we couldn't get a break. Yeah, I took another bite. I can't lie.
Cam Stewart at Cam Stewart Live on Twitter. You can catch him on Sports Grid at Rob Pizzola on Twitter, and go to thehammer.bet for more from Rob Pizzola and all of the great team over at The Hammer, the Forward Progress YouTube channel as well for that football content over at The Hammer. We will be back every single Thursday with the best bets for each week of the football season, and we're going to have our win totals draft with the three of us, Cust and Jeff, coming sometime in the near future. Play in the Listeners League. Link is down in the description. Join runthesims.com. Code Mayo. Get you 10% off. And leaguesafe.com to store your money. Not a literal safe, an internet safe. As Cam had mentioned, put code Mayo up into the microphone box at the top and get yourself an extra $10 into your prize pool when you go sign up. It's been in business for 15 years. No one's stealing your money over there, unlike potentially the commissioner of your fantasy football league. I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!